In the previous video, we solved the linear programming problem by the help of solver, and we have the answer here. Now we want to do some sensitivity analysis and answer questions like this. However, answering questions related to sensitivity analysis, we consider that we have no access to the original problem. We don't know what was the original problem. We have only this report. And right now we will export this report from solver, but in the test usually students has a question like this and a sensitivity report, and you don't know what is the original problem. You cannot solve and answer these questions by new problems. But for now, we want to compare whatever we find without solving, and also at the same time we will do the change in the original problem and compare the solutions. By sensitivity analysis, we mean answer these questions without solving a new problem. What are these questions? We have original problem. Right hand side for that problem are 46, 8, 10. And we want to change, for example, in part A, B1 is the first right hand, right? 46. Changed to B1 prime, 50. It increased by some units, in this case by 4 units. What will happen to Z star prime? So Z star is given here. The original problem had optimum value 13.33. What's going to happen to the optimum value of the new problem by this change? Or in the second, we have only the change in third constraints. It increased by 4 units from 10 to 14. And in 3, again from 10 to 25. Exercise 2, we have change in more than one parameter. In that case, we are going to study 100% rule. Now, first we start with the change in only one right-hand side. And here we can see that in the sensitivity report, we have some numbers which are important for us. In constraint 1, right-hand side is 46. We can increase this 46 up to this value or decrease up until that many units and still answer the problem without solving a new problem. Or second constraint, right-hand side can be increased. This means that this 8 can be increased by this number, but this number here is 1 times 10 to the 30. This 1e plus 30 means a very big number. For example, if we divide the number by this, it's almost 0. Or we consider this one as infinity. So it can increase up to infinity, but it can decrease at most by 14.6667 units. This much. Or third right-hand side the same. So we call this allowable range for change in the right-hand side. If the change in that range, then we answer the problem based on sensitivity analysis. Otherwise, if the change is beyond this range, then we cannot answer. We need to solve the new problem. Or in this case, since we don't have the new problem, we say that it's not applicable. For example, the part C of the first exercise says B3 changed to B3 prime, which is 25. What is the original value? 10. 10 to 25 means 15 unit increase. But what's the allowable increase? Allowable increase is 9.7. So it is beyond this increase. I cannot answer this. So without doing anything, just I write here, not applicable. So sensitivity analysis is not applicable for this. Cool. Or if they have another 100% rule, the same thing may happen, but we study that one later. Now, what does this change 50 mean, or how we can predict the Z star prime based on this tableau? So we have another column here, which is shadow price. To understand the concept of this shadow price, I want to solve some problems or do some changes in the right-hand side and see the results and find out what those numbers mean here. Okay, for example, third right hand side is 10. It can increase up to 9.7. I want to increase by 1 unit and see the change in objective. Objective originally is 13.33. We go there. This is the original problem we solved last time. And also I want to show you how to, however, in the test usually this report is given. But if you want to solve a problem and also after that do the sensitivity analysis based on this report, you need to create that report like this. We solve the problem as we did last time, but after solving we have the chance to export this reports, and that is the sensitivity report. If I click on this, then I will have a new page here, sensitivity report. And those things in this exercise page, this one is exactly the copy and paste of this part for right hand side or constraints. We have similar thing for variables. It means that variables, the cost coefficients originally was this values, they can increase or decrease by some range, and if the change is in that range, we can give the answer for the new problem based on this sensitivity report. But for now, we work only with the right hand sides. So I did this page, we don't need that one. You know how to create it because I already created and paste it here. Now, since we have that one here, I want to work with this sensitivity report and answer these questions. Prior to that, I come back to this problem, change this 10 to 11. I did 1 unit change in right hand side, or I increased by 1 unit. Increasing by 1 unit in the third right hand side, I want to predict the objective. For now, I don't want to do, but I want to see what happens. Now, if we run the solver and solve it again, then we will see the new output or the new objective to be 14.67. What was the original one? The original one, I put the original one here. Let me copy this one and paste here that we want to compare with this. So we know that the original problem has this objective. But if I change the third right hand side by 1 unit, then I got a new answer like 14.67. And if I compare these two, it looks like they are related by these shadow prices. Now I change one more time. It's exactly this much, 1.33. Now if I change by 2 units, instead of 11, I change to 12. And if we solve again, this time we see 16. And this 16 is exactly, I can write right now here. So the new value, I show it somewhere here. It is exactly equal, that value that I am finding there is the original value plus how many units increase or decrease we have? 2 units. Since it is increase, it is plus. Times, what is the shadow price? Shadow price is 1.33. So I copy this cell also here to use it. And I know that the shadow price is somewhere, I put somewhere else, some control V. So still I'm inside the, let me paste that one here first. So this shadow price column, Control C. Since I'm using them, then I paste them here and see how it works. Now, this is the original value. This is the new one that we found. But I want to show it how it works, okay, how we can predict that one. Here I write the same Z star, but this time I'm going to find by myself. So this is what I am predicting. This is Z star prime, the new one, the new value for Z star. I said it's going to be equal to the old one plus how many units change do we have? 2 units multiplied by the shadow price for the third constraint, the same value. Okay. Now, if I change by 3 units, but this time I'm going to decrease by 3 units. From 10, I decrease by 7 units. If I decrease by 7 and solve it, it becomes 9.33. But here also I have similar way. I have previous one, this time plus, the change is minus 3 units multiplied by the shadow price. Is it 3 units from 10? Yes. Original and 2 multiplied, oh sorry, 3 units, not 2 units. 3 units. It's exactly the same number. Okay, this one and that one. This is the one that we resolve the problem, but without solving the problem, we can give the answer. We know it. Now, let's do another thing. So this was originally 10. We keep the same. And let's see the shadow price for the first constraint. It is 0. And the allowable change is, let's say, how many units can we increase? We can increase up to this value. It means infinity. Any number you give, since shadow price is 0, there will be no change in the objective. Let's just see one example. Instead of this 446, I consider 460. Because it is in the allowable range, because I can increase up to infinity. But if we solve the problem, we predict that there will be no change in the objective. Why? Because I increased by how many units? It was 46. Now it is 460. So it is 460 minus 46. This is the change. But what's the shadow price? Shadow price this time for first constraint is 0. So we don't need to do any calculation. For sure it's going to be the same. But now if we solve it, we predict to get the same result. Okay, the same, nothing changed. Okay, this 460 here instead of 46, but still the same objective value, or Z star prime is the same as Z star. So shadow price 0 means if you are, it is only if you are in the allowable range. For example, if we look at the first variable, it can decrease up to 22.6. Imagine we decrease by 25 units. 25 or 26 units, let's say 26 units. 46 minus 26, it becomes 20. Now if I give this one 20, so let's say less than 26 up until, for example, 25. If I give 25, it means that the change is not more than 22.6. If we solve, still we would have the same. No change in the objective. But if we decrease more than 22 point that number, now like let's, as I said, I decrease by 26 units, then it becomes 20. Now there will be some change in the objective, and we don't know how much change. Okay, without solving the new problem, we cannot predict. Now the objective changed, so up until you are in the allowable range, by that decrease or increase, the change in the objective is going to be the change in right hand side multiplied by the shadow price. If the shadow price is 0, then nothing will happen if we increase or decrease the right hand side. If it is positive, then if you increase right hand side, your profit or Z star will increase. If you decrease, that one also will decrease, because when it's a decrease, here writing the formula, we use new one minus the old one. This becomes negative. Now, right now we know what does the shadow price mean. Now, based on this information, we come back to this place and try to answer these questions. First, without solving the problem, we answer, and then we check our answers by solving a new problem. So B1 prime changed to 50. What was the original? 46. So we have a increase of 4 units. From 46 to 50, 4-unit increase. Now it's going to be equal to the old one, old Z star, which is written here. I wrote, this is given in the question, okay? The old one, plus, since it is increase, or even I can write inside the parentheses, I can say this one minus the original one, which is here. And it's better to write like this, than it works for any change. Of course, any change in the range. If we want to make it much better, we need to write another conditional statement there. If the change is in the range, and also if it is increase or decrease, what should we do? Then multiplied by the shadow price. The shadow price is 0. Now, if I click on this cell, I will see that these cells are related to my answer. Old one, shadow price, new one, shadow price, and old value of the right hand side. But since the shadow price is 0, nothing happens, Z star is the same. For B3, third one, the shadow price is not 0, so we are going to have some change. And the same way, it's going to be equal to old shadow price plus the change, but the change is new one minus old one, which is 10. Look, this is right hand side, constraints right hand side. This is the exact value for the original problem, multiplied by the shadow price. So we predict that it should be 18.67 without solving the problem. And in the test, students are not allowed to solve the problem again. And if they are allowed, even at that case, they don't have the problem. We don't know what is the original problem. But in this case that we are just checking our answer, we want to see whether if I change this 10 to 14, am I going to get this 18.67 or not? So this 10 to 14, and this was originally 46. So we have only one change for now. And we solve it again. We get 18.67, the same that we predicted, so we don't need to solve the problem if we have the sensitivity report. This is for change only one right hand side. If we have change at the same time or simultaneous change in 2 or more right hand sides, we have a rule called 100% rule. It means the change in all variables cannot be the 100% of the allowable change. And it doesn't matter, you may increase one and decrease the other one. For the changes, you should add them, or you should use the absolute value of the change. Now here I want to write the ratio of the change by the allowable change. It can be increase or decrease, and add them up. Now here I write equal. What change we have? We have this 30, and it was originally 46. So I write this number, since I need positive numbers, adding them up to show the 100%, minus the other one, or I can use absolute value, divided by. So what has happened to this? 46 to 30, it's a decrease, so I need to divide by the allowable decrease. That's all, plus. We have another change, BT. B3 changed to 12. It was 10, so I write 12 minus this cell 10. Since it is the increase, we should divide by a allowable increase for the third constraint, which is this 9.7. Up until it is less than 1, we can do sensitivity analysis. Once it becomes more than 1, then we need to solve a new problem. Or this answer that we predict with sensitivity analysis is not applicable for that case. Now, if we have more than one change, we should add the changes. But in this case, in our problem, since one of the shadow prices for B1 is 0, it's going to have no effect in the final answer. But still, we write it. We say equal original value plus the change in B1. This time we write the new one minus the old one because it can be increased or decreased, or the objective value can increase or decrease, minus the original one multiplied by its shadow price. Since it is 0, it's not going to do any change, plus the other change, this 12, minus the original value, which is 10, then multiplied by its shadow price, which is 1.33, and you can see which cells are selected. So it's going to be this change of 30 and 12. We change objective to 16. Again, we want to see whether it's correct or not. So 30 and 12. We come back here. We change this one to 30, this one to 12, and let's solve it again. So it becomes 16. That's fine. We are done. Without solving the problem, we predicted the new answer for the problem. But if this sum is greater than that allowable change, then it's not going to work. Let's check. So this is not a part of the problem. We will bring this one back to the original value, 30 and 12. But I change this 12, for example, to, I can increase up to 19. I write 19.7. I say 18. Now it's more than 1. It seems that the new answer should be 24 by sensitivity analysis if we use it wrongly, but it's not going to be the case. So 30 and 18, if we come back here, 30 and 18. However, this 18 is in the range, and that 30 is at the range, and also the contribution of this change in the first constraint is 0, but still the sensitivity analysis does not work because the sum of those changes is more than 100%. If we solve, we get 17.14, but here we predicted 24, which is completely different from the exact value. Now we bring back to the, I guess it was 12. Yeah, that's it. So since it's less than 1, we get exactly the same. And lastly, this one. We have two changes, then we need to write the ratio of, this is 4, and originally B2 was 8, so I write the large one minus the small one because we are working with positive numbers, finding the 100% rule, divided by, so 8 to 4 is decrease, allowable decrease is this number, plus the other one, 18. For B3, it changed from 10 to 18, then 18 minus 10. It is kind of increase, then I need to divide by allowable increase, which is this. So 1 increase and 1 decrease. More than 1. Since it's more than 1, here I write greater than 1. And here you write less than 1. If it is less than 1, I show it by green color to show that we can do the sensitivity analysis, but here it is not working, and we can say not applicable. So we can have not applicable for 100% rule or just 1 right hand side. So what we did, we here used this LP problem, we solved and we checked our answers, but in general you don't have access to this page. The only thing that you have are these exercises and the final value or Z star for the original problem. Now you cannot check your answer, you need to just work with this sensitivity report. And while the changes are in the range for the allowable range for the increase or decrease for one right hand side, or in case of more than one change, the 100% rule is less than 1, you can do the changes in this Z star and to find Z star prime based on the shadow prices. So shadow price, one more time, we said that shadow price is, for example, if B3 changes by 1 unit, the objective function will change by this much. So the change in objective based on 1 unit change in right hand side is the shadow price, but 1 unit increase. Okay. But then we may have some right hand side that the allowable increase can be less than 1. So you cannot do by hand or find that rate or this shadow price by hand. But if I want to find this 1.33, I can do it by hand. Without doing this sensitivity analysis report, I can change this. It was 46 originally, and this one 10. I change this one to 11, and then solve it based on that. I can say what's the shadow price. So you can give the shadow price without having the sensitivity report. Just changing one of those right-hand side and comparing the solutions. But it's going to happen if this 1 unit change is in the allowable range. Otherwise, you cannot give the shadow price based on this change or solving 2 problems. Now that's all for these 2 exercises related to sensitivity analysis.